All right, Shalom. I want to begin by giving all glory and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakwadash. All right, double honors to our beloved elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. And Shalom to all the Akim pushing his truth with sincerity. It's the brother Itazawan from the GMS Columbus, Ohio branch. Coming back again with another video through the Spirit. Lord willing is edifying. And pretty much through the Spirit, just wanted to respond, to the new viral video amongst, the Hebrew Israelite community, so to speak, concerning the ISUPK and their faulty breakdown of the MOTB. All right, now you had an individual come up, I believe this in the Bay Area, all right, and one of the members from ISUPK looked like they were, passing out food or, something, food drive or something to that effect. And he asked him what was the MOTB, okay, and the man, in response was on point, pretty much he described the chip, the micro C-hip, all right? And, his rebuttal was that, the MOTB is Christianity, which is complete nonsense. All right, Christianity is, nothing but a false doctrine, all right? As scriptures speak about, concerning false doctrines, fables, so on and so forth, all right? Real quick, let's begin with Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, all right? Because this is an ongoing thing in Israel where you got faulty prophets, false prophets, who pick up the scriptures. And although they have some truth, in the sense that they know they're Israelites, they understand the law, they may acknowledge Yahweh Shai in some regard, all right? But, their doctrine isn't 100%, and their doctrine doesn't line up with prophecy, okay? Real quick, this is Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter. In verses 1, it says, "Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh," right? And that's ultimately what these guys are doing. They're scattering the sheep. All right, they're leading them astray. Okay, they're leading them into a ditch. All right. It reads, "Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, God of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith Yahweh," right? And again, when you deal with the MOTB, okay, you got to be correct. This it's a major prophecy. And again, when you look at the times, okay, when you look at the times and apply them, and link them with the scriptures, you can see, how evident, the MOTB is concerning it being the micro C-hip. All right. You have to acknowledge these things, the, SpaceX programs, the building up of the chip centers, the data centers, so on and so forth. You have to speak on these things. Why is this devil doing this thing? How does this link up with biblical prophecy? What is going on? All right. As the scriptures speak of, we are called to be watchmen. Okay. Real quick, let's get Isaiah 62 and 6. It reads, it says, "I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of Yahweh, keep not silence, and give him no rest till he establish and till he make Jerusalem a praise on the earth." Right. All right. So the Lord set up watchmen to watch over the flock. All right. To lead the flock and to warn the flock, concerning what is going on in the world. That's our job. All right. And again, a lot of these guys don't do that at all. They may acknowledge Esau being an Edomite, and have some truth. Okay. Again, but, they're not warning the people. All right. They're not letting the people know what the hell is going on. All right. When you come into this Hebrew Israelite thing of ours, all right, it isn't just about knowing that you're an Israelite. All right. Again, you have to type in the prophecy. You have to type in the news. And again, you have to warn the people, all right, concerning what the hell is going on in the planet. Because like the scriptures read, he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. All right. We are watchmen, and we are to lead the sheep in the correct manner, that they, may follow our word, which is ultimately the word of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and live. All right. That they, may know how to navigate. All right. And, know how to, beat the wiles of the devil. Okay. And the snares and traps that Esau Edom is coming with, and again, they failed one test. All right. Concerning the C-19 situation. All right, they literally led the masses of their congregation, all right, to the slaughter. Okay, literally. And as the scriptures say, trust not thine enemy. Here it is. Again, you acknowledge Esau Edom as an Edomite. All right, and say he's the devil, so on and so forth. But you acknowledge him as a true and holy physician. All right, and that the Lord set him up to keep us whole, man. This devil is here to destroy us. We don't trust this, man. Real quick, let's go to Isaiah. Stay in the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter. Okay. And is it the 10th chapter? Yep, in verses 20. It said, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such are as escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth." Right. We're not going to stay upon this devil who smote us, man. All right. We're not going to lean on this devil for help in the sense that, we're trusting in his medicine. Okay. Now, again, not to be over righteous. If you break a bone, get a cut, of course, you got to, tap in. All right. Deal with, certain trauma, blunt trauma, whatever. All right. But as far as the medicines and things that this man is pumping out, shit, even the foods. We're subject to a lot of these things, but, whatever we can, do on our own, we will. All right. If it's in, if it, is suitable. All right. And we're able to manage. All right. But again, like I said, the remnant will not stay upon him that smote them. All right. So us being the Lord willing, being the remnant, apparatus are being the elect. All right. We're, as time progresses, detaching more and more from this devil, his resources, whatever the case may be. All right. We're staying upon Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai and trusting in him wholeheartedly, man. Okay. And again, that C-19 was a big test to see who will fold. All right. Who is who? All right. I believe, So, how much more when the MOTB, the micro C-hip comes out? A lot of these guys are going to fold, man. Again, because they're not, staying upon Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. They're trusting in this devil. The same devil that they claim, they don't trust and love, whatever the case may be. But here it is. You trust his medicine. All right. You trust his system. Okay. And it shows, man, that ultimately a lot of these guys have sold out and have taken a bag, man. And the water, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, for put me in the midst of true teachers who teach us and show us, by example, how to keep our integrity, to trust in the Lord, to pray, to fast, and to lean on him. Okay? That's it. The water Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, man. All right? Because again, a lot of these camps, man, these guys are sold out. And if they didn't, the Lord isn't dealing with them all the way. Okay? But anyways, let me see how long I've been going. I just wanted to make a quick video. And through the spirit, I want to, go into the MOTB, go into some words, moving forward. But, again, man, watch out for these guys, man. All right? This is a lot of wicked men in the midst of the nation of Israel. All right? Real quick. Let's go to 2 Peter, 2nd chapter. At the top of 2 Peter 2 at the top. "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring unto themselves swift destruction." Right. So this is, needed, so to speak, in a sense that this is prophesied, man. And there's going to be a lot of false prophets, etc., who are going to lead the flock astray. All right. Again, who are going to be in damnable heresies. Real quick, let me see if it comes up. Heresies. Okay, well, heresy. Doctrine or appearing at variance with established standards, right? And that's what a lot of these guys are. Bringing in, unprofitable doctrines that don't, again, line up with prophecy, that don't line up with scripture. And again, that are, just men, real quick, men establishing their own righteousness, man. What is that? Romans 3. On Romans 10, Salakia. This is Romans 10 and 3. It says, for they being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of the Most High. Right, man. So again, a lot of these guys are trying to establish their own thing. They're not coming up the right way, man. Okay? They're coming in as thieves, man. Okay? But anyways, through the spiritual, watch out for these guys. All right? And like I said again, the water Yahweh Bahashim Shai for leading us in the right direction, because, when I first came in, man, I was, one of the camp jumpers, not, ignorantly, not understanding the difference in the camps. I just thought it was an ignorant Israelite thing. All right, but in the midst of my ignorance, through the spirit, I got rebuked by GMS. And from GMS, I've been here, 5 years, So the water Yahweh Bahashim Shai for put me in the midst of mighty, mighty men, famous men, again, who teach integrity, all right, and teach the scriptures directly and correctly, man. You see? But anyways, give all glory and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rekakwadash Shalom.